The scout ship Stellar Observer hung silently in Earth's orbit, its advanced cloaking system making it invisible to human detection. Marcus, the lead scientist aboard, stood at the observation deck, his four eyes blinking in rapid succession as he studied the blue planet below. "Another day of observations?" asked Tom, his assistant, joining him at the window. Their species didn't need names, but they had adopted simple human names to better organize their research team. Marcus nodded, his pale gray skin reflecting the Earth's glow. 3 months of watching, and every day they surprise me more. He tapped on the transparent display in front of him, bringing up the day's recordings. The ship's crew had been tasked with a standard first contact assessment mission: find developing civilizations, evaluate their readiness for galactic society, and make recommendations to the Council. It should have been routine, yet nothing about Earth was routine. "Look at this," Marcus pointed to a video feed showing a human settlement in what they called Alaska. The temperature readings were well below what most species would consider habitable. They're not just surviving there, they're thriving. They built homes, they farm, He paused, zooming in on a particular image. They're swimming in frozen water for fun. Tom's outer membrane rippled in distress. For fun? Are you certain they're not being punished? Completely certain. They call it a polar plunge. They do it voluntarily. Marcus brought up another feed, this time from a place called Death Valley. The temperature readings were at the opposite extreme, and here, in the same planet cycle, different humans are living in temperatures that would cook most species. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from the ship's sensors. A piece of space debris was heading toward their position. Standard procedure was to simply move the ship. However, Marcus had learned to take every opportunity to study human behavior. He zoomed in on the debris. It was human-made, a defunct satellite, but what caught his attention was the ground-based response to it. "They're tracking it," Tom noted, surprise evident in his voice. "Their technology shouldn't be capable of that yet." Marcus watched as humans from multiple ground stations coordinated their response. They were using primitive tools by galactic standards, but they were using them in ways the assessment team had never seen before. "According to our data, they have nothing that can intercept space debris," Tom said, consulting his datapad. "They'll have to simply hope it doesn't hit anything important." But Marcus had learned better than to underestimate humans. Sure enough, within hours, a ground-based laser system activated. It wasn't powerful enough to destroy the debris, but it altered its course just enough to avoid any potential collisions. "Did they just?" Tom's voice trailed off. "They modified a research laser into a debris defense system," Marcus confirmed. "This is exactly what I've been trying to explain to the Council. Humans don't just use tools. They constantly adapt them into something new, usually something that can either help them survive or," he paused meaningfully, "defend themselves." The implications hung heavy in the air between them. The Council had strict criteria for first contact. A species needed to be advanced enough to join galactic society, but peaceful enough not to pose a threat. Humans, it seemed, existed in a troubling middle ground. "Should we proceed with contact protocols?" Tom asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Marcus stared at the planet below, his four eyes focusing on different continents simultaneously. He watched humans racing vehicles at lethal speeds for entertainment. He observed them willingly jumping from high altitudes with only thin fabric to slow their fall. He saw them lifting weights far beyond what their bodies should handle, running distances that would exhaust most species, and eating foods that would poison others, all while calling it training or fun. "No," Marcus finally replied, making a decision that would shape human history, or rather, prevent the shaping of it. Mark this in the official record. Initial contact assessment for Sol 3 is hereby suspended pending further review. "On what grounds?" Tom asked, already knowing he would agree with whatever reason Marcus gave. "On the grounds that we may have discovered something unique in the galaxy, a species that turned their entire planet's hostile environment into an advantage, and themselves into something that even apex predators fear. Marcus began composing his report to the council. We're not dealing with a typical civilization here. We're dealing with humanity. Marcus sat in his private quarters aboard the Stellar Observer, his forefingers hovering over the holographic keyboard. After 3 months of watching Earth, it was time to write his final report. He knew the council wouldn't like what he had to say, but they needed to know the truth. He began typing. Official report. Earth Observation Mission. Classification: Urgent. Observer: Senior Scientist Marcus. Status: Restricted. Computer, begin recording notes, Marcus said, his voice tired after reviewing thousands of hours of footage. The first images appeared on his screen. A massive forest fire in a region called California. But instead of running away, humans were running toward it. They called themselves firefighters, and they battled natural disasters as if they were enemies to be defeated. Species shows unusual response to natural threats, he dictated. While most intelligent life forms avoid dangers, humans actively confront them. Evidence suggests they have survived multiple extinction-level events in their history, including ice ages, supervolcanoes, and massive meteorite impacts. Instead of dying out, they grew stronger. He played another video clip. This one showed humans diving into deep ocean waters without any breathing equipment. Their adaptability exceeds all known parameters, he continued. In just one planetary rotation, what they call a day, humans can function in environments ranging from -50 to +50 degrees in their temperature scale. They can survive at altitudes where oxygen is scarce and depths where pressure should crush them. Tom entered the room, carrying more data chips. You might want to add this, he said, inserting one into the console. The screen filled with historical images of human technological advancement. Marcus's outer membrane rippled with concern as he watched. Their technological progression is troubling, he noted in the report. From first powered flight to landing on their moon. 66 years. From discovering nuclear physics to making nuclear weapons, 6 years. From basic computers to artificial intelligence, less than a century. He added a warning note. Every tool humans create is eventually modified for both helpful and harmful purposes. They turned healing medicines into weapons, peaceful atomic power into bombs, and simple communication devices into global surveillance networks. The next section of his report focused on human biology. He played a clip of human children playing in a park with a large four-legged creature, what they called a dog. Most remarkable is their ability to form bonds with predator species, he dictated. They took wolves, bred them over generations, and turned them into companions. They did the same with big cats, birds of prey, and even water predators. No other known species has successfully domesticated apex predators for companionship. Tom pointed to another screen showing various human sports and competitions. Should we include this? He asked. Marcus nodded grimly. Perhaps most concerning is their need to challenge themselves even in times of peace. They create artificial conflicts they call sports where they deliberately push their bodies to breaking point. They climb mountains because, in their words, they are there. They dive into deep caves, explore dangerous places, and intentionally put themselves in harm's way. All for what they call fun or adventure. He added one final section to his report. Conclusion. Earth humans represent a unique threat/opportunity to galactic society. Their physical capabilities, while not extraordinary in any single aspect, combine in ways we've never seen. They can eat foods that would poison others, endure conditions that would kill most species, and survive injuries that should be fatal. Before any contact is considered, the Council must answer one crucial question. What happens when a species that treats survival itself as a challenge gains access to advanced galactic technology? Marcus paused, then added one last note. Personal edition. In all my years of studying developing worlds, I've never seen a species that seems to actively enjoy facing death. These humans don't just survive. They turn survival into a sport. They don't just adapt to their world. They force their world to adapt to them. The most terrifying thing about humans isn't that they're strong or smart or tough. It's that they never, ever stop trying to become stronger, smarter, and tougher. He sealed the report with his official mark, knowing that his words would likely change how the galaxy viewed Earth forever. As he sent the file to the Council, he couldn't help but wonder if humans would one day prove him right, and if the galaxy was ready for them when they did. The Grand Council chamber was silent as the last images from Marcus' report faded from the massive holographic display. 12 council members, representing the most advanced species in the galaxy, sat around the circular table. Their normal blue skin had turned pale after watching the report about Earth. Head Counselor Peter, who had chosen this simple name for official records, stood up first. His long robes brushed the floor as he walked to the center of the room. "In my 300 years on this council," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "I have never seen anything like this. These humans," he waved his hand, bringing up an image of children playing baseball. "They teach their young to hit moving objects with sticks for entertainment." "That's not the worst part," said Council Member James, tapping his datapad. "Look at this." The display changed to show human Olympic Games. They run until they collapse. They lift weights until their muscles tear. They fight each other in controlled battles they call sports, and then they celebrate both the winner and the loser. The room erupted in worried whispers. Council Member Mary, the military expert, stepped forward. "Let's look at the facts," she said firmly. "First, they're the only known species that can throw objects with deadly accuracy. Our bodies evolved for efficiency. Theirs evolved for hunting, by throwing spears at prey until it died from blood loss." She brought up more images. "Second, they have something called endurance running. They chase prey until it dies from exhaustion. What kind of species does that?" "A terrifying one," muttered Council Member Robert, the biology expert. "But here's what really worries me." He showed a new set of data. "They're the only species we found that uses pain-causing chemicals. They call them spices, to make their food more interesting. They drink poison, caffeine, alcohol, for pleasure. Some even train their bodies to enjoy these poisons." Peter raised his hands for silence. "The question before us is simple but serious. How do we classify Earth?" "It's obviously a death world," said Mary. "Look at their natural disasters. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes. Most species would have gone extinct. Humans, they built warning systems. They chase storms for research. They make movies about disasters for entertainment." James added, "Don't forget their ability to live anywhere. Desert, they build cities. Arctic, they build cities. Mountains, underground, middle of the ocean. Cities, cities, cities. And they keep predators as pets." Robert almost shouted. "Not just one kind. Dogs, cats, birds, snakes. They put carnivores in their homes and call them family members." Peter displayed Marcus's final warning again. "Before any contact is considered, the Council must answer one crucial question. What happens when a species that treats survival itself as a challenge gains access to advanced galactic technology?" The room fell silent again. "We need to vote," Peter said finally. "We have 3 options. First, make contact now. Second, wait and watch. Third, classify Earth as a restricted world and prevent all contact." Mary stood up. "Before we vote, consider this. Every tool humans find, they improve. Every challenge they face, they overcome. Every limit we think they have, they break. Do we really want them learning about our technology? About our worlds? About our peoples?" Robert nodded. "They survived an ice age by hunting animals bigger than our transport ships. They survived plagues by developing medicine. They survived each other's wars by building bigger weapons. And now, he pointed to a final image, a human space rocket. Now they're looking to the stars. The council members looked at each other nervously. Peter raised his hand. The time has come to vote. Remember, this decision will affect not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. One by one, the council members pressed buttons on their tables. The results appeared instantly on the main display. Peter read them aloud. By unanimous decision, Earth is now classified as a restricted world. No contact is to be made. No technology is to be shared. He paused, looking at the final image of Earth spinning peacefully in space. May we never have to face them in battle. As the council members filed out, Robert stayed behind, staring at the image of children playing baseball. We're not avoiding Earth because they're primitive, he said quietly to himself. We're avoiding Earth because they're too much like what we fear most, a species that sees impossible odds as a personal challenge. The council's research team worked in a large, dimly lit room filled with holographic screens. After the initial vote to restrict Earth, they needed to document exactly why humans were so dangerous. Lead researcher Jack stood before the main screen, presenting his findings to his team. Let's start with their warfare, Jack said, pulling up historical images. Most species develop weapons to survive. Humans, they turned everything into a weapon. They made flying machines, then dropped bombs from them. They split atoms for power, then made nuclear weapons. They created the internet for sharing knowledge, then used it for cyber warfare. His assistant Amy brought up a new set of images. But here's what's really interesting, she said. Look at how they train for war. The screen showed soldiers doing push-ups, running with heavy packs, and crawling through mud under barbed wire. They deliberately make training harder than actual combat, Jack explained. Their warriors choose to suffer more during practice than they might in real battle. No other species does this. Most try to avoid pain. Humans, they embrace it. Another researcher, Mike, stepped forward with his datapad. Speaking of pain, look at what they eat. He displayed images of various human foods. They discovered plants that cause pain when eaten. Instead of avoiding these plants, they called them spices, and now they can't eat without them. And it gets stranger, Amy added. They found bitter beans that cause their hearts to race and their minds to stay awake. Instead of avoiding these beans, they made them into a drink called coffee. Now they have entire shops dedicated to selling this stimulant poison. Jack nodded, bringing up more images. Their ability to eat almost anything is remarkable. Spoiled milk. They call it cheese and love it. Fermented foods. They eat them for health. Raw fish, a delicacy. Even their children's candy sometimes contain pain-causing chemicals for fun. The room fell silent as they considered this information. But nothing, Mike said quietly, nothing is as scary as their endurance hunting. He played a video reconstruction of ancient humans hunting. Most predators chase prey at high speed and give up if they don't catch it quickly. Humans, they would walk after their prey for days. They wouldn't run, just walk, following tracks, never stopping, never resting. They would chase animals until the creatures collapsed from exhaustion. That's why they're so dangerous, Amy said. It's not their strength or speed. It's their endless endurance. They just don't stop. Jack brought up images of modern human achievements. Look at these examples. People running marathons in extreme heat, climbing the highest mountains without oxygen, swimming in freezing water, living in space stations, walking across continents alone. And they do this for fun. Mike added, not for survival, for entertainment. The team watched as Jack displayed more recent data. They'd survived things that should have killed them. Plane crashes in mountains. Some walked out. Lost at sea. Some survived for months. Trapped under rubble. They held on for weeks. Their bodies can adapt to almost anything. Amy checked her notes. According to our data, humans have survived. Temperatures from -40 to +50 degrees. Heights that should have killed them. injuries that should have been fatal, going without food for weeks, drinking water they made from seawater, living with dangerous predators, building homes in disaster zones. Jack raised his hand for attention. But here's the most worrying thing we found. He showed the final set of images: humans exploring caves, diving in deep oceans, and building rockets. They're never satisfied. Give them a mountain, they climb it. Show them a deep ocean, they dive in. Tell them space is too dangerous, they build better rockets. Every limit we think they have, they break. Every barrier we think will stop them, they cross. The room was silent again as they all stared at the images. "So what do we tell the council?" Amy asked finally. Jack looked at the Earth, floating peacefully on the main screen. "We tell them the truth. Humans aren't just another species. They're the only species we found that sees death-defying acts as entertainment, treats lethal challenges as games, and turns survival itself into a sport." He started writing his final report. Warning to the council: the most dangerous thing about humans isn't what they can do. It's what they choose to do. They don't just survive. They thrive on challenging death itself. The emergency council meeting started early in the morning. After receiving the research team's report, head counselor Peter had called all members for an immediate session. The chamber's mood was tense as holographic displays showed Earth from different angles. "We need to create a new classification," Peter announced, standing at the center of the room. "None of our existing categories fit Earth properly." Council member Mary pulled up the standard planet classifications on the main screen. "We have peaceful worlds, developing worlds, dangerous worlds, and death worlds. Earth somehow fits all of these at once. How is that possible?" asked James, leaning forward in his seat. "Look at these readings," Mary replied, showing new data. "Their oceans have creatures that could swallow our scout ships whole. Their land has weather that can destroy entire cities. Their ground occasionally splits open and spews liquid rock. By all normal standards, Earth is a death world." "But death worlds don't produce spacefaring species," Robert argued. "They're too hostile for advanced civilization. Yet humans not only survived but thrived. They're launching rockets, planning Mars colonies, and sending signals into space looking for us." Peter raised his hand for silence. "That's exactly why we need a new classification. Humans have done something we thought impossible. They turned a death world into a cradle for civilization." The main screen changed to show human cities in different environments: in deserts, on mountains, floating on oceans, and even under the ground. Most species adapt to their environment. Jack from the research team explained. Humans adapt their environment to themselves. They want to live somewhere. They build climate-controlled buildings. Too hot, they make it cool. Too cold, they make it warm. Too dark, they light it up. Amy, his assistant, added more data to the display. They're the only known species that can live anywhere on their planet. Desert, Arctic, mountains, islands. They've built cities in places that should be impossible to live. "And that's not even the scariest part," Mary said. She showed new images: humans in spacesuits. They've already figured out how to survive in space. Their technology is primitive, but their determination. She paused. "Their determination is unlike anything we've seen." Peter nodded gravely. "So we need to decide. What do we call this new classification?" The council members looked at each other. Finally, Robert spoke up. "I suggest we classify Earth as an apex world and humans as endurance predators. Because that's what they are, the ultimate survivors. But we need more than just a classification," Mary insisted. "We need containment protocols. Look at their entertainment." She displayed scenes from human movies showing alien invasions. They're not just preparing for space travel, they're preparing for space warfare. They've imagined every possible way we might contact them and planned how to fight back. The room erupted in worried discussion. Peter had to raise his voice to be heard. "We'll create a 3-part classification. First, Earth becomes an apex world, the only one in this category. Second, humans are classified as endurance predators. Third, we establish a no-contact protocol. James looked worried. Will that be enough? They're advancing quickly. Their technology doubles in power every few years. That's why we need a permanent observation post, Mary said. We need to watch them, study them, and most importantly, stay away from them. Peter brought up the final vote screen. The classification will include these key points. 1. Earth is the galaxy's only apex world. 2. Humans are classified as endurance predators. 3. A permanent quarantine zone will be established around their solar system. 4. No contact is to be made until humans achieve interstellar travel on their own. 5. All species will be warned about human capabilities. The vote was unanimous. As the council members left the chamber, Peter stayed behind, watching Earth rotate slowly on the main screen. The beautiful blue planet that had produced the galaxy's most terrifying species, a species that saw impossible challenges as personal invitations. May the stars help us all, he muttered, when they finally reached space, because they won't just explore it. He remembered the human movies showing space battles and alien invasions. They're already practicing to conquer it. The classification was set. Earth would be marked in all galactic maps with a new symbol, a red circle with a warning sign. The symbol's meaning was simple: approach at your own risk. Contains humans. The emergency alarm blared through the council's observation station. Red lights flashed as council members rushed to the main control room. On the central screen, a situation was unfolding that would change their view of humans forever. What's happening? Peter demanded, entering the room at a run. Mary, the military expert, pointed to the display. A rogue ship from the desert worlds decided to ignore our warnings. They're attempting first contact with Earth. Her voice trembled. They're trying to invade. The room fell silent as they watched the massive alien ship drop its cloaking device above Earth's atmosphere. It was twice the size of Earth's largest ships. Those fools, Robert muttered. They think size matters to humans. On the screens, Earth's response began. First came the radio signals, hundreds of them, in every language. They're trying to communicate, Amy noted. Even now, they're giving the invaders a chance to talk. The alien ship responded by launching fighter craft. Now we'll see, Mary said quietly. Now we'll see what humans do when truly threatened. The response was faster than anyone expected. Earth's militaries launched within minutes. Old enemies became instant allies. Countries that had fought for centuries now worked together. Look at their coordination, James said in amazement. They've practiced this. They've actually practiced fighting aliens. The screen showed human fighters engaging the alien craft. Though technically inferior, the human pilots flew with impossible courage. They tried maneuvers that should have torn their primitive craft apart. They're not just fighting, Mary observed. They're learning. Every time they lose a fight, the next pilots adapt their tactics. They're evolving their strategy in the middle of battle. The alien ship launched its main weapon, an electromagnetic pulse designed to disable Earth's technology. For a moment, parts of Earth went dark. Then something unexpected happened. They're still fighting, Peter said in disbelief. How are they still fighting? Mary checked the readings. Backup systems, hardened electronics, protected military bases. She looked up in amazement. They planned for this. They actually planned for their technology being disabled. The screen showed human forces launching from hidden bases, using equipment specifically shielded against electromagnetic attacks. They had prepared for this exact scenario. But the real shock came next. They're broadcasting everything, Amy reported. They're showing the battle on their news networks. Their social media is full of it. They're not hiding in fear. They're getting excited. The council watched as humans around the world responded to the invasion. Scientists shared theories about alien weaknesses. Engineers repurposed civilian technology for defense. Regular people volunteered for dangerous missions. Are they enjoying this? Robert asked incredulously. Look at their entertainment media, James said, pulling up human movies and games. They've imagined this scenario thousands of times. They've been entertaining themselves with stories about beating alien invasions for decades. The battle continued for hours. The alien ship, despite its superior technology, found itself overwhelmed by human determination and adaptability. Human pilots flew suicide missions to protect their cities. Scientists worked frantically to understand alien technology. Military forces coordinated globally in ways they never had before. Finally, the alien ship retreated, but not before several of its fighters were captured by humans. They'll study those ships, Mary said grimly. They'll learn from them. They'll improve their own technology. Peter watched as humans celebrated their victory worldwide. Send an urgent message to the desert worlds, he ordered. Tell them if they want our protection, they must agree to never approach Earth again. Look at these readings, Amy said, checking her instruments. Human technological development just spiked. This battle taught them more about space warfare than decades of research. The council members watched as humans began recovering alien technology from crashed fighters. They were already taking it apart, studying it, understanding it. This changes everything, Peter said finally. We didn't just fail to keep our existence secret from humans. We gave them proof they could beat us. The screen showed humans around the world, more united than ever, looking to the stars with new purpose. They're not afraid anymore, Mary concluded. They fought aliens, and they won. Now, she paused, watching humans examine the captured alien technology. Now they know they can beat us, and they'll never stop trying to reach the stars. 1 month after the failed invasion, the Grand Council gathered for their final meeting about Earth. The chamber felt heavier than usual as the latest data scrolled across the holographic screens. The humans have already reversed engineered parts of the captured ships, Mary reported, her voice tense. Their technological progress has jumped forward by at least 50 years. Peter stood at the center of the chamber, looking older than ever. Show us what they've learned. The main screen displayed various human research facilities. Scientists were studying alien metals, power systems, and computer technology. But they weren't just copying. They were improving. Look at this, James said, pointing to one image. They found a flaw in the alien fighter's design and fixed it. They're not just learning the technology, they're making it better. That's not the worst part, Robert added, bringing up new data. Show them what they're doing with the alien communication systems. The screen changed to show human radio telescopes, now modified with recovered alien technology. They were sending signals deeper into space than ever before. They're looking for us, Mary said quietly. And now they know exactly what frequencies to use. Amy, who had been analyzing human internet traffic, spoke up. Their entire species is energized. Look at their social media, their news, their entertainment. Everything is about space now. They're united in a way they've never been before. The screen showed humans around the world working together. Countries that were once enemies now shared research. Scientists from different nations collaborated openly. Space agencies combined their resources. They've started a global space defense program, Mary continued. Every major nation is contributing. They're building better ships, designing space weapons, planning orbital defense stations. They're preparing for the next invasion. But there won't be a next invasion, Peter said firmly. That's why we're here today. We need to make our final decision about Earth. Jack, the lead researcher, displayed his latest findings. Humans have shown they can. 1. Unite against external threats instantly. 2. Adapt superior technology quickly. 3. Improve designs they've barely understood. 4. Fight against impossible odds. 5. And most importantly, win. The council members looked at each other nervously. They all knew what this meant. Peter took a deep breath. I propose our final resolution regarding Earth. First, we officially designate the entire solar system as a permanent quarantine zone. No species will be allowed to approach Earth for any reason. Heads nodded around the room. Second, he continued, we acknowledge that human contact with the wider galaxy is now inevitable. They know we exist. They've tasted our technology. They won't stop until they reach the stars. How long do we have? James asked. Mary checked her calculations. At their current rate of progress, 20 years, maybe less. They're advancing faster than any species we've ever seen. Then we make our third decision, Peter said. We wait. We let them come to us. When they develop true space flight on their own, we'll be ready. We'll meet them as equals, not as invaders or superiors. Are we sure about this? Robert asked. Once they reach the stars, they'll spread everywhere. You've seen how they adapt to any environment. Exactly, Peter replied. And that's why we need them to develop naturally. If we interfere now, if we try to stop them or control them, they'll only fight harder. But if we wait, if we let them progress on their own. He paused, looking at Earth on the main screen. Maybe they'll learn wisdom along with power. The final vote was unanimous. Earth would be left alone, marked in all galactic maps with the strongest warning possible. Approach at your own risk. Home of humanity. The species that turned survival into an art form. As the council members left the chamber, Peter stayed behind one last time. He watched the blue planet spinning peacefully in space, its people unaware of the effect they'd had on the galaxy. We're not ignoring Earth because we're afraid of humans, he said to himself. We're ignoring Earth because we're afraid of what humans might become if we give them a reason to fight us. He turned off the display, but not before adding one final note to Earth's file. Let them reach the stars on their own. Because a species that treats impossible challenges as personal goals, that turns survival into a sport, and that faces death with a smile. That's not a species you want to make angry. When they're ready, they'll find us. And when they do, the galaxy will never be the same.